All right, welcome everyone to session 8 of Intro to Coding Live in Python. So for session 8, currently we just had the presentation that we originally received by Greg Drobny, but we already received his presentation earlier in the course. So instead, we're going to take session 8 and session 9 as an opportunity to learn some Python fundamentals as far as the advanced concepts of Python. So let's move on to some actual code. And this is where we'll learn a couple of things. So first, I want to get into advanced if statements. All right. So we got some if statements, and we know that I can say, hey, so if, I don't know, 5 is greater than num, then print, I don't know, let's say 5. And I can make an else. And in that else, I'll just print none. All right, this is just me saying, hey, I want the greatest number. And I can make num 6. So now if I run this, nope. I'm going to get 6 because 6 is actually greater than 5. So it knocks this if statement, etc., etc. But I want to be able to shorthand this, right? I don't want to, we always know that the less lines of code, the better for the most part, and especially if we're able to understand it, right? So I'll leave this, but instead I'm going to make my print statement into a one-liner. And in this print statement, I'm going to say to give me num or give me 5 if 5 is greater than num, else I want it to give me none. And we'll see that when I run that same logic, I still receive 6. So my if statement is here. I'm asking if 5 is greater than num, then do what's on the left. Otherwise, do what's on the right. So let's say that I have a list of employees, right? That's our favorite little dictionary. And let's say in this list of employees, I have a name, and his name is Francisco. And let's clean this up a little bit. Okay, and then Francisco also has a uniform. And let's just give it true because he does have a uniform. And let's say, what could we test for? Oh, let's check if he's in person. In person. And let's make that false. All right, so now let's move on to the other ones. So now we have name. We want to make that into Adam. And let's say that Adam does have a uniform as well. And when we go into in person, we'll make his true. And then let's go into our next one. And name, let's make this Nick. And I hope it's helpful to watch me build some dictionaries so that we can understand how properties work. And let's make him false. And lastly, let's go in person. And when I go into in person, he is going to also be false. Okay. So I have this list, right? I can iterate through it and print if the person is, if an individual is in person or not. So let's say I go for employee in list of employees. And then I wanted to print works in person if employee in person else works from home. And let me comment this little if statement that we have up here. Let's clear the console and we run that. Okay, so we see that it runs it through each one. And let's actually make it an F string and try to include some things in here. Like, for example, let's include that employee's name. So F string works from home. And it's not liking that because it's trying to say, hey, we can't escape this. Okay. And same thing here. Let's have employee name. Okay. So now we run this and we see, oh, hello. Probably want to put a space there, don't I? Okay, so now we see Francisco works from home because when it loops through it, so it's looping through each employee, each dictionary inside the list of employees, grabbing the employee and grabbing the name. But then it goes into this if statement, and I'm saying if employee in person. And we see that in person is actually a Boolean variable for every single one of them, right? So for in the case of Francisco, it's false. So because it's false, it's going to say our statement to the right. So Francisco works from home. And that's what we see here. For Adam, where it's true, when I ask if employee data in person, it comes in true. So we get the statement to the left. And we see Adam works in person. And then lastly, we see Nick, who is also false, and we see that Nick works from home. And those are if statements. Does anyone have any questions about one-line if statements? Or in this case, they're called ternary statements.
Can you explain when the true or false, which part is the starting one, which one is the last one?
Could you say that one more time?
So the employee in the line 23, employee name works in person. So that is the true statement.
So employee name is what gets rendered if employee in person is true. All right, so this is what gets evaluated. So I'm asking, is this condition true or is it false? So in the first employee, we see that it's false. So instead of giving me what's on the left, it gives me what's on the right. Right, and that's why I see Francisco works from home. When it moves to Adam, we see that in person is now true. So because this condition is true, I get what's on the left. And we see Adam works in person. And then again for Nick, where the condition is false, all right? So we get what's on the right. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so now let's try to create a list from this list of dictionaries. And I think, Akeem, you were asking me about this earlier. So now let's do it the regular way, right? Where I say list of employee names. And this is going to be an empty list. And what I'm going to say is for employee in list of employees, I want list of employee names to append each employee name. And lastly, let's print list of employee names. So now when I run this, I get a list of employee names where we have Francisco, Adam, and Nick. We've seen this a couple of times. Does anyone have any questions over this portion? Okay. Awesome. So now how do I get this into being one line? Well, it's actually pretty simple. So let's try this. Oh, hello. So we have our list of employee names, and what we're going to create is a list. But inside of that list, I want the employee names for employee in list of employees. And now if I run this, we're going to see the same exact output, right? So what this is saying is I want to grab employee name for every employee inside my list of employees. So it goes into the list of employees and grabs the employee name and creates a new list out of it, which is essentially what we have here. It's still iterating, it's doing the for loop, right? But instead of explicitly telling it that I need to append employee name, I'm just doing it implicitly here, right? So I could even do some type of operation here where I can say plus question mark and run that. And now we see that all of them are going to have a question mark towards the end. This is a pretty useful tool, and it's especially useful whenever you're messing around with dictionaries and trying to just grab one individual component, right? So for example, when we did the employee data exercise, this would have came in handy really, really well, because instead of creating all of those different for loops, we could have just done this one-liner to grab all that information at once. Okay, this is great. So now let's say that I want to create a new dictionary, right? And the same thing, I want name. But not only do I want name, I'm going to take this off. Let's say that now I want all of them, their uniforms. I want to know what type of uniforms they wear, right? So let's say I also want to grab uniform, or what else could we do? And say has uniform. And let's just make that employee uniform. Okay, so now we see that I created a new dictionary. And actually, let's do that properly. For my original list of employees, I now created a new list of dictionaries where the name and has uniform is included in there, right? But I'm no longer getting if they're in person or not. And notice that the uniform, so originally it was just uniform, and now it's has uniform included in there. So I can create data structures. I can manipulate the information in there as I see fit in order to actually have this happening. And it's all inside of a for loop. So this is super clean, it's easy, nice to understand, and it's easy to follow. So does anyone have any questions over how we manipulate information using shorthand for loops? Okay, great. So if no one has any questions for me, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a year, and let's say that year is 2017, right? And let's just say 2008, and let's say, I don't know, 2015. Okay. So let's say this is our original list of employees, and this is our employee records, right? But I noticed that 2008, 2015, and 2017, those are the dates that they joined the company. So now after every 5 years, each individual is promoted, right? So I want to know what year each individual here was promoted. And what I expect is I expect back a list of the following string. So I want to get name of employee was promoted on year. Okay. So how do I create this list from our list of employees?
So are we interested in just those that got promoted, or what is the question?
So I want you guys to use this information to create a list that will hold the following string for each one of these employees.
So you would create a new variable equals to
Okay, so a new variable. What do you want me to name this variable?
date of promotion, date promoted
Date promoted. Okay.
equals, and then I know you just showed it, so I should remember this. Do you create a secondary list,
Okay, so I create a list.
and then we'll put wait. Well, I guess we don't necessarily even need to do. Let's see if we can do list of employees with the key year -5. I'm stumbling here.
Say again.
I'm stumbling.
Yeah, so let's take a look at a prior example, right? Go ahead.
So I'm still trying to wrap my hand around the actual question, what we're trying to do. So we have those lists at the top. So on line 26, a list of the following string, name of employees was promoted. Are we trying to, get a particular value off of the dictionary, or are we trying to add a new line, add a new line?
No, we're not trying to do anything with the dictionary. So all I'm trying to get, so let's see, answer, and I want the answer to equal, I want Francisco was promoted on, well, 2017 plus 5 years, so that's 2022. Then I want Adam, oh, hello. Adam was promoted on
Okay.
2013. And then I want Nick was promoted on 2020.
Okay, so yeah, with the example that we've been using before, so we can go with what's his name started. Yeah, there. So line 28. So with the list, instead of having it equal to, we don't actually need the variable in there actually.
Yeah.
So all we need to do is just like the example we did before. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll bring that up so we could have it as a reference.
Yeah. So list of employee names equals. Okay, so now doing date promoted. So then we have employee name. So that'll be Francisco. Then string of was promoted on, that'll be plus.
Okay. Was promoted
On. So that would be, the next one will be year, employee year plus 5.
Okay.
All right, so what the next thing? So now we've got then for employee and list of employee.
For employee list of employees. Okay, so that's great. Let's try to run this and see what it gives us. Okay, so it seems like we got an error here. And it's telling us happened in line 28. And the problem is that I'm trying to concatenate a string with an integer. And I believe that the integer is here, where I have an actual integer. I'm adding 5.
Okay.
So how do I turn this into a string so I can concatenate to the rest of this?
So come str, then into bracket. Okay.
Awesome. So now we see Francisco was promoted, Adam was promoted, Nick was promoted. And we see all of the expected dates, 2022, 2013, and 2020, right? So this is great. Let's say that I wanted to simplify it and turn this into an F string, right? By turning it into an F string, I am now not concatenating. And because I am not concatenating, I no longer need to do typecasting when I'm running this. All right, so now when I run this file, still gives me the same answer. There's just no need to turn this into a string. Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions over what we just did here? And then just to ensure that it's actually what we want, we could always run the double equal sign and compare it to our answer. And we see that it's true. Okay. Yeah, is there any questions about these for loops?
Do some people do the append method over this? Is it preference or is this more professional? Like, is there, obviously this looks slightly cleaner, but is that like the main benefit to it?
So the main benefit to it is the fact that you can make it all in one line, right? But the disadvantage to it is that not everybody can understand it very well, right? So what we're doing here, it's pretty simple. But if I was running a lambda function inside of this at the same time I was trying to run this, and you guys haven't learned about lambda functions yet, we'll go over that tomorrow. But if I was trying to run a function inside of this list that was creating an entirely new thing, and then doing things to the list of employees to manipulate the data and then create something completely new, there's going to be a lot of hidden steps happening inside of this one line. And you generally don't want that, because if you have too many hidden steps, then, you know, if something goes wrong, how could you know what went wrong? All it's going to tell you is that there's something wrong in line 28, but that's as far as your error is going to get you. So sometimes, depending on how complex the algorithm or the problem you're working on is, it may be better to do it this way, or it may be better to just extend it and actually have some visualization over each individual line, see what's happening to your algorithm, and then apply those things so that you can debug it better. And then you could even have once you have the debug portion, then you could comment out what it is doing and then turn it into a one-liner, or you could leave it however you want it.
Okay.
Does that kind of answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, awesome. So now let's move on into some exercises. And we've actually already covered all the exercises that we're going to have in this course. Tomorrow, I'm going to have more exercises that will be more complex for us. And they're going to have some lambda function integrity that we could use. But currently, what I would like to do is I want us to see how far we've all come from the very start of the course. So let's start doing these algorithms from the very top of the list, and we'll just go around the room solving them. And as we go around the room solving them, as it climbs into more complex structures, we could always work together to actually solve these. So let's get started with that. And actually, before we get started with the problems or what we're going to be working on today, does anyone have any problems that they might be struggling with that they want to go over?
This is kind of simple, but for some reason, I'm kind of messing it up. So I don't know if you want to take a look at it now or when
Yeah,
later.
let's take a look at it now. Go ahead and share your screen. Just yank it for me like you did last time.
Well, it said this will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? Oh, okay. I thought it was requesting it from you the last time.
Oh, okay. Here you go. How's that?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. So I'm playing around with rank.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the question is saying if n is 5, to list it out like this.
Okay.
It's a simple one, but I'm nuking it. So so far I'm kind of this is what I've been trying to do. It's
Okay.
supposed to list out 1 to 6.
If n is 6, then it's supposed to have 1 through 6, right?
Yes, I believe that's what the question print string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's supposed to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, I see.
Can I just use join?
Um, so this is actually going to be something awesome for what we just learned, right? So I'm assuming M is going to be your answer.
Well, with M, it's turning it into a list. So I don't believe the question is want a list. Actually, I've tried that. It didn't work fine with the list. I tried to append it into the into M, but it didn't work out.
Oh, okay. I see. So let's try to append stri into M and see what it does. Yeah, and then could you just get rid of the extra parentheses and the print statement?
Get rid of the print.
Yeah, you're gonna need to take off the print, and then you could do the print outside of the for loop so that we could see the final state. Yeah, you can see that. Awesome. So those are numbers. Could you turn it into a string in line 4?
No.
You can't turn the I into string?
Do you want to turn this into a string?
Yeah. Okay. So now that you have that, how do you turn it into one string?
Uh, Hello?
I could hear you, yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yes, I could hear you. Okay, yeah, is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I believe this. Yeah, this is yeah. Before I was having my print here, so I guess that was why I was getting a wrong thing to even begin with.
Yeah. Can I try something here on line 2 inside of the parentheses?
Line 2.
Yeah, inside of the parentheses. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
the square brackets.
Yeah.
Can we do STR
It's a FCR.
STR as in Sierra Tango
Okay.
Romeo.
Yep.
And then parentheses num.
Parentheses what?
Num, NUM, as in November Uniform Mike. And
Okay.
then on the right side of that parentheses,
Outside or inside?
yeah, right there. Oh no, outside. Could you do 4 num in
Okay.
and then do list parentheses range parentheses and then 1 comma n plus 1. And then just comment out line 3 and line 4.
Do we still need a join?
Yeah, we'll still need to join. Yeah, could you try that?
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
This is the same. This is the method we just did, right? We first
Yeah.
converted the norm into string.
Yeah, so we're turning the num into string, and then we're doing that for the list of range 1 and 6. So if you do range 1 and 6 and you turn it in, 1 and 7, and you turn it into a list, then it gives you a list of integers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So because it gives you a list of integers, we have to turn it into a string, and then we could just iterate through it. And so str num for num in list of range of 1 through 7. And that's how you get that answer.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you the screen back. Escape.
Yeah, of course. Okay, great. Actually, was it everyone able to understand what we just did with that problem?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's keep trucking then. Let's fork first and last name. And then Seki, could you just solve this algorithm for me, please? Awesome. It's loading right now. It's trying. Oh, come on. There it is. Okay. So a full name, it's supposed to take in 2 parameters and return them as one single string. So how do I set this function up, and how do I what is it that I need to return, Seki?
You put in 2 parameters in it and you return, you concatenate them.
Okay. So you want me to return, and then how do I concatenate them?
But you need to put in the two parameters in there first.
Okay, got you. What do you want me to have?
First name,
Okay,
name. Return, first name plus last name.
awesome. So let's see. If I run this, okay, I seem to be getting some false. Do you know why I'm getting false?
You don't have a that bracket.
Say again?
You didn't have a blank.
Oh, an empty string. Gotcha. So you want me
empty string.
like that?
Yes.
And now when I run this, I get true. Okay, this is great. Can you tell me how I could solve this using an F string?
Use an F string.
Mhm.
Why would you use an F string? It's
No, an F string, as in a foxtrot string. So to have words in, to have those variables inside.
you just put a bracket, curly bracket, first name
Mhm.
plus last name. But I thought the only reason you would want F string is because you want to put two different types of variables in it. Like if you want to put a integer and a string together, you would use F string. That's what I thought.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily need to bound yourself to that, to only doing it if there's different data types. My belief is whatever is simplest always works best, right? So now in this way, I don't have to worry about concatenating an extra space. I could just put a space and actually run my code.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is great. Thanks, Seki. And actually, it's already 6:40. So let's take a 10-minute break and then come back. I will see you all in 10 minutes.
See you.
Do you mind taking over this one, Andrew?
Of course. Okay, so we'll put two parameters, amount paid and total cost.
Amount paid and total cost.
And then let's make an answer variable equals to amount paid. Oh wait, we have to round it. But I
Okay.
guess we can do that. Amount paid minus total cost. And then can we wrap this in a parenthesis and round to 2 decimal places?
Yeah, so I go around, and how do I tell it to round 2 decimal places?
And then right within the parenthesis, you're going to put comma 2.
Okay.
And then let's return the answer.
All right. Awesome.
Cool.
Easy peasy. Thank you. All right, Akeem. Ready for convert 2 hours? Oh, wow, that fork number dropped. It went from 18 to 12. All right, let's see. And then it does this. I wonder if my Wi-Fi is just really that bad. Oh, there you go. Okay, awesome, Akeem. Take it.
All right, so we can have answer. You might wanna have passing a parameter there first as minutes. So answer will be equal to minute divided by 60. So wanna round that, put that in a round.
Oh,
Then to 3 decimal places, comma 3.
okay.
Return answer.
And then we run that. Perfect. Nice. All right, let's go into some mortgage payment. And it's back to you now, Seki. I remember the first time I did those challenges, how long it took me. So it's always nice to see them towards the end of the course again, right? Revisit the work that we've done and see how much we've learned in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and this is pretty good because I was doing the same thing a couple of days ago. And the first last name, it took me a while before I figured out the space in between is what was giving me the false. That took me like almost 45 minutes before I figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I remember it took me forever to understand that functions took in parameter. I don't know why I had such a hard time understanding that. But it took me a long time to understand that a function takes in a parameter and that you could access that parameter from within a function. And then when we went into higher order functions, that just messed me all up too. Okay. So now we got our mortgage payment. So go ahead, Seki, you can take it, you can take over now.
What is the dollar amount return on your initial investment given the initial investment and annual return percentage? Okay. Type in initial investment, annual return percentage.
Okay.
Return, initial investment,
Oh, I can't. Mm-hmm.
multiply 1 plus bracket 1 plus annual return percentage. You need a what's that? Bracket? Curly
Oh.
bracket. Oh, not curly. Just,
Like
yeah,
that?
yeah. But turn that percentage, return percentage, divided by 100.
So you want me to add one and then divide it by 100? Okay. See what that does. Okay. So that's returning false. Let's see what this why it's returning false. So let's see. We put answer, make that equal to, let's print answer. And let's return. Wonder what's going on here. Why do you think this is happening, Seki?
You probably shouldn't divide at 100.
Okay, so let's take the dividing by 100 off. Let's see what that does. Okay, so almost there, but we see that it has a little bit of extra value, right? What do you think is it that's causing it to have that extra value?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's this one, right? Because our percentage is already in a decimal point. So I think if we add the one, then we're giving our percentage 105% and 108.5%. So if we take off the one, then it gives us the value that we expected. Yeah, that was awesome. And we got to see some debugging. It's great. All right, let's go to convert to hours and minutes. And this one goes over to Andrew. Does anyone have any questions on this one? Okay, let's keep moving. Oh no, down to 8. All right. We're gonna spend most of the lesson waiting on these. Let me try to stay ahead of the game. Okay, so while that one works, this one will continue working, and it will eventually get there. There you go. Okay, so instructions: write a function that takes any number of minutes and returns a string of hours and minutes. So go ahead, Andrew. You can take it away now.
Okay. Let's put in the parameter minutes. Okay, and then let's okay. I feel like I'm drawing a blank here. Let's make an answer variable equals to 60 divided by, or minutes divided by 60, more or less.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're gonna have, let's do, I don't want to round it, but I need to,
I think you could just floor it like this.
Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. And then, okay. And then we're going to, let's just make this whole thing into a string, the
Right?
answer.
Do you want
And
it
then
to,
we're,
what kind of S string? I mean, what kind of string do you want it to be?
so let's do it. Let's do an F string. And
And
then do that. And then we'll type hours and another squiggly bracket. And we'll do minutes. And in the squiggly brackets, we're going to put minutes, percentage sign 60.
okay.
And then let's return the answer.
Print it and return it. All right, perfect. So we get 2 hours and 5 minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes, 0 hours and 55. But this one seems to have failed.
It's because it's minute.
Ooh, okay. So how could we account for that?
Okay. I'm drawing a blank. Someone give me a light.
You have to use condition. You have to use if statement.
Yeah, definitely.
Andrew, you want me to continue or you want to take it?
Well, I guess we could do an if statement, and if includes. Let's see. Yeah, Keem, if you want to hop in, I'm not gonna be
All
upset
right,
about it.
so
I think if minutes that
so we're gonna work around each one. So
if it's
Seki, you are saying?
I'm sorry, just go ahead.
All right, so if do we have minutes and hours or do we just have just one?
Oh, I see. So you want to account for both hours and minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's have that be empty. And let's say if minutes. Okay, so let's walk through this. What I need.
All right, so if minutes equals to
Well, minutes right now is 175, 75, 55, and 121. So what I need to do to minutes.
We would check to see if it's greater than 60.
Okay, so let's have, you're saying to divide it by 60, right? Because that's how many we get hours, right? Now, how do I check if it should be pluralized?
so if it's less than or equals to 2, then that would be the first one. That we're gonna take care of the first one. Then the result would be the statement 2 hours and 15 minutes and 5 minutes.
Okay. So far we got if minutes divided by 60 is less than 2, meaning that it should only be 1, it shouldn't be plural. What is it that I want to add to answer?
So that will be you have to use the minutes divided by 60 again. Then hour and then
Yeah, and then we'll worry about that part afterwards, right? But currently we have this. And we only have one
So
hour.
L if
Do we want elif or do we just want else here?
L if
Okay.
or because you are iterating in line 8, so I'm not sure because the way I did it, I went through each one at a time, so we can.
I think we should make a variable for those terms, like hour term, minutes term.
Okay. So you're saying hours. And I'll just make that equal. And you're saying to turn this into hours, right?
No.
No. No.
So minutes.
Like
saying
create
like-
two variables for hours,
Yeah.
so we have the data stored, so we don't have to keep doing the equation.
So
Yeah,
minutes.
you would put the
by 60.
variable in the
Then MINS means, so we can do that equals.
And I think, so all we have to do, we can just do one if and else statement. We can do if minutes
Yeah.
is equal to 1, print the statement, elif greater than 1, print
Yep,
the minute statement.
That's what I had in mind, but I think Francisco had something better. It's kind of trying to iterate plus equals. So
Okay. So now we have our minutes and we have our hours, right? But now we have our logic and we have to account not only for if hours is pluralized, but we also have to account for if minutes is pluralized.
yep. So if I were to go with that, I would say if hours, so equal greater than or equals to 2, and minutes greater than 1.
We want hours to be 1, right? If hours equal 1, because
well, this is gonna take care of everything greater than or equals to 2 hours. So that's gonna take care of line 1, but
Okay.
not line 18. So then return F string. So our what's it called? Yeah, call this bracket. Yeah, hours and 5 minutes means, yep, minutes. So then the next line is gonna be L if.
So let me shoot this one real quick so that I could see.
That's gonna fail.
Okay, let's try it out.
So L if same thing from above, but that's gonna be less than or equals to 1. So minutes. So hours greater than or equals to 2 and minutes less than or equals to 1.
Okay, I see where you're heading with this. And I think we should treat hours and minutes separately and concatenate them to answer and then just have one return statement.
Yeah, that's why I said your method might be better. So
okay. So currently we have hours is greater than or equal to 2, and I'm gonna go ahead and send that and I'm gonna concatenate that to answer. Else, meaning that it's single, all it's going to do is answer plus or equals f string hours and hour. All right, so that accounts for plural and single. of that.
So, oh,
Yeah. So now, how do I do it for minutes?
Can use same technique. Do we need a variable to hold minutes?
Oh, I think we have a variable of minutes.
Okay. Yeah, so
Well,
pretty much the
we can
same
do
thing.
if minutes equal 1, because the only thing we have to account for is when it's
Time.
everything else.
Oh, I'm
Every-
so sorry.
everything-
My series.
You don't have any
trying to take
alarms.
over. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I got hijacked by Siri. Okay, so as we were saying, if bins is equal to 1, it's the only one we have to account for. So what do we need to do?
So answer then plus equal the F string. So it's gonna be minutes, means, and space. That is 1, so that's gonna be just minutes.
All right.
Then else. Answer plus equal F string means space minutes.
Nice. And then I'll print answer and return answer. So let's
So
okay, so we got one false because 0 hour, right? And it meant it's supposed to say 0 hours. So there may be something wrong with our if statement here.
We can do that if it equals 1, 2. Just because the only thing we have to account for is the outlier of 1, or isn't it?
Yeah. So let's make this an if hours is equal to 1. And this should now turn into our else statement. Now we get nothing but trues.
okay.
Awesome. This was awesome. So now I'm noticing we have all these if and else statements. And we just went over if and else statements in a single line. Do you guys think we could maybe refactor this to turn these if and else statements into single lines? And if so, how could we do that?
Return F hours hour if hours equals 1.
Okay, so you're saying return F
Hours hour and minute means minute.
hour and
And MIN MINS
Yeah.
minute. If hours equals 1 and min equals 1.
you suddenly got really far away, Seki. Could you say that again?
Minute, not minutes. Means minute.
Are you guys having trouble hearing her as well, or is it just me?
I
No,
am as well.
I'm good.
Okay. Could you tell me what she's saying?
If hours equal 1 and mins equal 1. Else
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's a phone or a laptop. It's kind of like up and down.
Yeah, I get what you're saying now, Seki. But I think that instead of having that here, I think what we want is to turn these statements into single line statements instead of having our return being a single line statement. All right, so if I were to say, let's say answer plus equals f string, and I'm just gonna have this. And then I'm gonna say if hours is equal to 1, else I want it to return that. All right, and then I could apply the same thing here. So I could say answer plus or equals, and here's our first one. If mins is equal to 1, else here's our second one. Now I can comment this out. Oh, this as well. And if I run it, it should still return all trues. And let me just print this out. All right, so we're still running the same exact logic that we had before. The only difference is now instead of stretching it out over 4 lines, we compressed it to happen all within 1 line. There you go. We could hear you now, Seki. All right.
Hold on, not all right yet.
Oh, say again?
Hold on. I'm trying to, think through this a little. So in line 13, so we're saying if hours equals 1, then we want hours, hour, and else f hours, and then in the bottom we're doing for minutes, the same thing. So where are we capturing? Okay, that's the else. Okay. Okay. Wow, it's gonna get some getting used to, but it's a lot better, but
Yeah,
take some getting used to.
but the key to understand is that each one of them needed to be treated separately, right? Originally, I saw you guys were trying to deal with both at the same time by using and or statements. But then this would have ended up with you having to write it 4 separate times, right?
Yep.
And so it's better to just use separate those conditions and address each one individually. All right. Awesome. Let me grab the next one. And this was supposed to be Andrew's, right?
No, me.
Yeah.
That was Andrews. Yes, I'm next.
So then it's Akeem next. All right. All right, Akeem, here's yours.
All right. So we want to pass 2 parameters. Can name them base and height.
Okay.
Then we can take out the pass. Then answer equals half 1/2.
Equals what?
1 divided by 2, or you can have parentheses 1 divided by 2 times base times height.
Space times height. Okay.
Then return answer.
And let me print answer as well. Nice. Easy peasy.
If I want to make to round it to 0 to 1 decimal place, just like the answer is there, but I'm gonna run into trouble of the second answer not being not having the decimal place. Is there a way? You get what I'm saying?
To remove the decimal if we don't need it.
Yeah, like the first one is just 2, but the second one is a float. So
Yeah, so we could go into try and accept block, so then I can try to return integer answer and then accept return answer. And well, I actually want to print it, so let me print that. Or you know what, even better, we could just use variable reassignment. So answer is equal to integer answer. And answer.
What's that? What's try?
Yeah, so try is telling my program, hey, try to do the following behavior that I'm giving you here. And if it doesn't work, then do whatever is in my exception block.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a workaround around having 2 types of outputs for a specific input. So in this case, we're going to try to turn it into an integer, meaning that it'll get rid of the 0.0 because it won't be a float anymore. And then we'll return answer. And then otherwise, it will just return the float. And in this case, it just returned 0 altogether. So it turned it into an integer. I may have to look further into this as far as shaving. Let's see. How to shave a 0 from a float in Python. Remove both the trailing zeros and decimal. Ooh, so there seems to be a trim. Oh, that ain't it. What is going on here? Yeah, 3.14. So that's going into regex, which I don't think will be a good idea to introduce right now. So there are ways to do it, but these are a little bit more advanced topics, and they actually go into using other libraries such as regex and other types of tools that we have in Python. Yeah. Oh, this one's pretty good. So instead of doing all of that, we could return integer answer if answer modulo 1 is equal to 0, else answer. Now we run it. Okay, so now it trims it. And so this is telling it, hey, I want you to turn it into an integer. Oh, I guess I should probably print that actually.
yeah, it was true before.
Yeah, print. All right. Okay, so now I got rid of the 2. I mean, it got rid of the 0.0 after the 2 because it trimmed it by turning it into an integer. And all I did was I checked if after I divided by 1, is there going to be a remainder? If there is no remainder, then I want you to just return the integer of answer instead of the float of answer. Otherwise, return the float. So it took, in this case, where it was 2.0, well, 2.0 divided by 1 is 2, and there is no remainder, so it returned integer. In the second statement, where it's 0.5, well, 0.5 divided by 1 is quite it's still 0.5, so it's not equal to 0. And so it returned the regular answer, which was a float.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. I don't know why I didn't think of that without having to Google it, but hey, we got there.
Yep.
All right. And let's see. That one done with the SpaceX. Let's do remove zeros. Okay, awesome. And Noel, do you want to jump into the mix here?
Oh, well.
I came late. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, perfect. We're just working through the assignments that we've had thus far. And we started from the very beginning, and we're working through it over the time of the course so that we can see how much progress we've made and how much more understanding we have over Python.
Okay.
Yeah. So in your case, you have the SpaceX countdown.
Okay. So I could either do a for loop or a while loop.
Mhm.
Probably just do a while loop. So we have to set the seconds equal to seconds or yeah. And then while seconds is greater than or equal to 0, we're gonna wanna print there are seconds left until liftoff.
All right, let's grab that.
Yeah. And then I guess get out of the while loop, so backspace, yeah, and then return liftoff. And that might work.
All right, let's try it out. Okay, so it looks like we're still
Oh yeah, I gotta subtract. So seconds minus. Sorry.
Stop.
Whoops.
There you go. Okay. And then you said seconds. I can't do seconds minus, but I can do seconds minus equals 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's try that. So we get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we get 0. And that return statement is there. So let's just print.
Oh yeah.
And there you go. Oh, let me run that one more time. Great. And there's our while loop method. This is awesome.
Can we do this with a for loop as well?
Yeah, we can. How do you guys want to do it?
For
Go ahead.
reversed.
For num and reversed range
+1.
num plus 1.
And F. There are 5 seconds left till liftoff.
Oh, I should probably name that something else, right? So you guys said I. Let's name that. Yeah. Okay.
Just return print liftoff.
Oh, and I can't spell print. Awesome. Perfect. Oh, I think instead of print, we want return actually. There you go. And now we don't have that undefined. Great. All right. let's move on. Some that code. Okay, let me start forking this guy. And then let's move on. Oh, I didn't fork it. No. Buffoon. I done goofed. I apologize, everyone. Where's the lookout? You guys didn't even tell me I didn't fork it. Y'all just let me keep running. All right. Seki, I believe this one's yours. We got remove zeros.
Remember, we spent a lot of time trying to solve it.
Did you say that one more time?
Create a num list.
Okay. You want a list of num?
Yeah, num list. The list, yeah. List. Just put a empty list.
All right.
Num equals str num.
Okay, so num equals str num.
For I in range. Length. Str num.
Okay, so just num, right? Because this is already str num.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Num. If num I is not the yeah, 0. Yes. Num list append num I. Num string. Just use join to get rid of the
Num string, and then that's equal to join, you said?
join num list.
Mhm.
Return int num string.
Turn num string, and you said integer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and let's just print integer num string so that we can see it as well. All right, so we run this and we see that it is 11 and 56,819. So this is great. This works fantastic. Awesome. Let's see. I wonder if we could maybe shorthand this a little bit. So I think string has a replace function. Right, and in this replace function, we could just replace the entire in all the instances of 0 with nothing. So I can probably say return integer str num dot replace where we have any zeros and replace it with nothing. So let's say I wonder what if it will do if it, oh, I probably want to print that actually. Okay, and we see that we get the same answer, all right? So we have an integer, we turned it into a string, we use the replace method to grab all of the zeros and replace them with nothing. Once we replaced it with nothing, we then cast it back into an integer. So now if I go here and I put this inside a print statement and I turn this into a return and I run this, I should see 2 trues. Okay. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions on?
What if we wanna do the long if state, the shorthand method we just did for the looping?
One more time?
The method we just learned today, if you wanna like use a short list loop method,
For the
that
loop.
loop, yeah.
Yeah, we could have definitely done that as well. Let's see if we could do that. So we have our num list, we created str num, but instead of doing this, we want num list to actually be, and actually bring that back. But I'm just gonna comment it. So then I want num list to be equal to num but we want to create an if statement in there as well. So let's see, we're up to an hour, so let's take a 10-minute break and then come back, and then we'll see this in a shorthand version. So I will see you all in 10 minutes. Morning. Okay, welcome back. So we're just going over constructing this for loop, but we're going to be constructing this for loop all in one line. So we already have num, which is a string, and we're going to iterate through it. So let's just do idx in or for idx in num, and then here we run the if statement if idx is not equal to 0. And then right after that, we could just print that. And then we could join it and return. Okay. So here we go. We click on num list. All right, so we see the num list where it's 1, 1 and 5, 6, 8, 1, 9. And all we did was add this if statement. If we wanted to add an if and else statement, it's actually kind of funny. It won't take it there. It will instead take it at the beginning. Else. Yeah. But this is going to cause a problem because when we try to turn it back into an integer, it's going to say, hey, the x can't turn into an integer. So this isn't going to happen. And that's why we get the problem here. And return integer num list. Because we have 1xx1. All right, so this is how we do if and else statements inside one-liners, or we could put it in the back if there is nothing but an if statement. Does that make sense, Akeem?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Of course, no problem. All right, let's move on to the next one. And I think now that's rectangle, right? Yeah. So let me put that there. And start working on forking this replet. And while that forks over, let's start working on alphabet code. And this one's yours, Andrew.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Alright.
so we got to make it the ABC string, or we can import it with the string ASCII.
So import ASCII.
well, I think it's import string. So on that line, you would put import string, and then on a new line after string, hit
Mhm.
enter. Okay, so it's string dot ASCII underscore uppercase.
In here?
Yeah, right there. ASCII underscore uppercase. And then just sign that to a variable like ABC.
Let's have that commit X, and let's put that in our function. Okay, so let's just call it my alphabet. Okay,
And that should work. Can we print that to make sure?
yeah. There it is. So now you have your
Nice.
alphabet of A through Z.
Okay, cool. So let's do a for loop for I in range and then length alphabet. And then on the next line, if alphabet index IDX equals char, return alphabet IDX. Wait, no, return IDX.
+1, right?
Yes, sir.
So we want IDX +1. And if we run this should all work. And I probably want to put some print statements on this. Okay, now we see them all being true. Awesome. I just have one question. What's the data type of our alphabet? I wonder.
It's not a string, I don't think.
Oh,
Oh,
so
it
it
is a
seems to be a string. Yeah,
I thought it was imported as something else.
okay. So now with us knowing that this is a string, could we maybe simplify our answer and return something right after using the ASCII?
We could
What
do, oh, sorry.
Sorry, what's ASCII?
Yeah, so ASCII is so we could import string, and we already have string in Python, right? But if we explicitly say import string, it brings in all of the other functionality that Python has for string. Because Python doesn't want to just shove all of its different informations and packages and modules that it has down your throat. It only wants you to have what you need in order to keep your program small and efficient. So by importing string, I am now telling Python that I need access to every single thing that you have that belongs to string. And one of the things that Python has is this ASCII function. And by using ASCII, it's just basically creating an entire alphabetical string. Instead of hand typing it, you could just see the entire alphabet string, which saves a lot of time. But that's pretty much what ASCII does. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's refactor this a little bit. So now that I have my alphabet, I can probably just return the index where it finds this, right? So let's return alphabet dot index, and I'm going to look for char that's going to be an integer, so I could just add 1. If I run this, we should see all trues, right? So by running .index, I'm telling it, hey, I want you to find the instance where my character is located inside of alphabet. And then I want you to add 1 into it because obviously we start at 0. So I want to add 1 to be able to match. Awesome.
That's a lot easier. It's a lot smoother.
Yeah, I mean, all index does is by using the .index function, I'm essentially doing exactly the for loop that you said, right? Because that's what index does under the hood, is it iterates through the entire length of alphabet and tries to see if there's a match. And if there is a match, then it returns the index, which is exactly what you have here. Otherwise, it just returns -1, telling us it's not in there. Yeah.
Cool.
So let's move on to the next one, which in this case is average velocity. Yeah, I want to leave. It's fine. And let's fork that one. Oh, this one was the one that had really bad instructions, huh? Okay, rectangle size. This one's all you, King.
Sorry, muted. Oh. So we have the parameter parsed in, so we're trying to get the dimension. So we can take out the parse and
Okay.
put in a new variable answer. Equals 2 multiplied by times. No, not 2 times 1. Parenthesis. Length plus space. No, not together. In there. Then space plus space width. Print answer and return answer.
All right. Let's print answer and return answer. Awesome. We see all trues and we see our statements. It's great. And this is actually a pretty simple one. We solved it in one liner. I don't think there's any refactoring that we need to do here. Okay, great. Noel, you got average velocity. And before we move on into average velocity, let me grab gravity. Okay, there's gravity. Okay, average velocity. It's all you.
Oh, okay.
I think you're muted, Noah.
So you could do the distance. You say like distance equals list of position. The square brackets and -1 for the last position in the array.
Mhm.
And then minus list of position square bracket 0 for the first position. Because I think that's what this one wants, right?
Yeah. I think all the middle numbers are just white noise to get you confused.
Yeah. Then divided by time.
In the same line or in the next line?
The next line could just be like return distance divided by time.
Awesome. And there you go. There's both of our truths. Nice. go into our rectangle number 2. All right. Seki, you got gravity.
Huh?
Oh. You shit. Oh, you shit.
Can you hear me, Seki?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm reading.
Oh, okay.
A hard time understanding. So, is returning the weight?
Yeah, it essentially wants you to check the weight, depending on the gravity and the speed that it take off to take off, or the gravity or the acceleration and the weight. Sorry.
Return acceleration ACC.
Return acceleration, what?
Into gravity and just multiply that by 9.8.
Okay, so acceleration times 9.8, you said? Hello? I'm sorry. I think I may be having problems with my audio.
No, weight of the planet. Just weight. Weight equals acceleration.
Oh, I see. So you want
Weight
weight equals acceleration.
acceleration. Multiply 9.8.
Yeah, and we actually want to divide by 9.8 and then multiply that times the original weight. And so let's just see what happens when we print it. Okay, so we got 2056 and we got 1100. Okay, yeah, and then this one's just super confusing, the way they word it here. But basically it's just saying, hey, the average acceleration time on Earth is 9.8. So I want you to figure out what our weight would be in this planet if I had a different acceleration, right? So in this example, we have the acceleration of 10. So we have to figure out the difference between 10 and 9.8. And then after that, we just multiply it times the original weight that we weigh at Earth so that we can figure out how much we weigh in the current planet that we're in. But yeah, this one's just weird.
I just couldn't understand it.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember I think I did this one with the class and I spent like maybe 10 minutes just reading the question. Yeah, it's a hard one, definitely. We'll have to work on rewording that. All right. Let's move on to the legal word. And then that will start forking. And while it forks, this is Andrew. You got rectangle size 2.
Okay. Okay, so let's just do make an answer variable
Okay.
equals width times length and return answer.
Okay, awesome. And I'm just gonna print it real quick so that we could all see it. Yeah, so this is perfect. It's just width times length. We get 15, 6, and 35, and all of them are true. It's fantastic. All right. And let's grab hot potato. All right, Akeem, you got illegal word coming over. Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right, wanna take out the pass, remove the pass there.
Mhm.
All right, so now answer equals. We wanna do a condition if word in sentence, then return.
I think we don't need the if statement. I think that will give you the Boolean variable itself. Let's see. Yeah, so that gives you the Boolean itself. But it looks like on the last one, it failed.
Because
Even though it's-
uppercase.
Yeah, so how do I check for that?
So we can turn word into all lowercase. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Just for sake, let's turn sentence as well into lower. Okay. And let's just return this. And great, that gives us all of our truths. Awesome. Yeah, this is an awesome function in Python. I know if I would have gotten this question at the beginning when I started coding, I would have been like, well, I gotta iterate through the entire sentence and see if the characters match consecutively. And I would have done a whole thing.
I missed it. Uh, you explain line 8?
Oh, can I explain this? Yeah, of course.
8.
And also, do you mind if we do the iteration as well, just for learning purpose?
Did a condition?
No. Once you explain this to Seki, do you mind we do the iteration to iterate over each word and compare just for learning purpose?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So iterate through each word and compare, and then this. Okay, got it. Yeah, so in this case, we want to make sure that we take in the word, and it says to disregard capitalization. So it says capitalization should not matter. So because capitalization should not matter, in order for me to run a comparison on both the sentence and the word, I'm just gonna run lower for both of them so that both of them are all lowercase letters. That way I can run an actual assertion against the string. For my answer, all I'm saying is, hey, is this word inside of the sentence? So in this case, fudge is now lowercase fudge, and it is inside of the sentence, so it returns true. And in this case, fudge is nowhere to be found in the sentence, so it returns false. And Yeah, that's pretty much all of our test cases. Does that make sense, Seki?
Yes.
Awesome. For you were saying if we were to iterate through them, how could we check that? Okay. So now I would have to do sentence is equal to sentence dot split. And for this split, I would want to split it on spaces so I can get the individual word. And then I'm gonna check for word and sentence. If word is equal to the actual word, then return true. And if it makes it through that and doesn't trigger, then I want it to return false. I think that way should work as well. Yep, so that works as well. So sentence will turn into a list of individual words. After that, I'll iterate through that list and compare it with the word that was passed as a parameter. And if any of them match, it returns true. If it makes it through the entire array and it doesn't find a match, then I want it to return false. Does that make sense, Akim?
Yep, and the other thing I'm kind of curious is instead of line 6 and 7 where we have the lower and lower, we
Mhm.
can do the same on line 11, having WRD dot lower equals word dot lower. Can we do that there as well?
Yeah, we can. So I could do this and say here. Dot lower and dot lower. And then I could run it. And still returns true.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
I don't understand that answer equal word in sentence. What's that?
Line 10,
No, line 8.
line 8. Oh, okay. Yeah, so in line 8, what I'm basically asking it to do. So what I'm asking it to do here is I'm essentially asking it to do exactly what I have down here. All right. When I say is word in sentence, is it's going to take whatever I pass in as word, and it's going to iterate through my entire sentence and see if there's a match. If all those characters put together is anywhere inside of my string. Right. So technically speaking, if this was combined and then I ran it, it would return. Oh, it still returns true. Yeah, so it returns true, but it should return false at this point, right? Because now this is all one word. But that is the way to fix for these test cases. Since it's spaced out, it's able to identify fudge is in there and it comes in true. Does that make sense, Seki?
Yes. Does not in work too?
Yeah. So I can check if it's not in there. And technically all should be false now, because they are all returning the opposite value that they're supposed to return.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's move on to caffeine control. Let's leave that, fork it over. Okay, and this one's yours, Noel.
This one I just did answer equals, and then in parentheses turns +2, and then
Answer equals in parentheses turns +2.
and then outside the percentage sign, the I forgot the name of it.
Modulo, yeah.
Yeah, 5. And then just return answer.
Nice. Easy enough. You mind explaining this?
So it gives you, so you have to start at student 2, I think it says.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's the +2. So it turns +2 to figure out who it's on or how many turns to take. And then the remainder 5, modular 5. So it divides it by 5 and returns however many is remaining. I'm bad at explaining this.
No, yeah, definitely. So we have turns, which in this case is 0, takes in 2, and then when we run modulo 5, well, there is no modulo. Yeah, so I'm actually curious as to how this works.
Oh yeah, if there's not 5.
Well, I guess it would be 0.
Yeah, 0, 2 remaining. I guess.
Yeah, it's 0, and then there would be 2 remaining. Whereas in 1 plus 3 divided by 5, well, that wouldn't work either, so it would return 3. And then 7 plus 2, well, once it's been divided by 5, then the leftover is 4. So yeah, it's perfect. Awesome. Nice. Let's go into, can I go to the bar? That's the next one. Let's fork it over. Okay, Seki, you got caffeine control.
I important math.
Okay.
If char equals Monday, M. Return math seal 800 divided by 150.
You said math dot seal 800 divided
150.
divided by 150. Okay.
Alice. Char equals to T.
Else what?
Char. Not else. A leaf.
Oh, okay.
LF
If char
equals Tuesday T. Return 600 divided by 150.
okay, 600
LF char equals W or R, or char equals R. Yeah, W or char. Return math seal 400 divided by 150.
Okay.
150, not 850.
Oh, my bad.
A leaf char equals F. Return 900 divided by 150. Else. Return invalid input.
Okay, let's check that out. Okay, awesome. It returns true for all of them. So this is great, and this is definitely a good way to do it. What other type of data structure could we have used during this problem to be able to get our answer?
We're talking about dictionary.
Yeah, we could definitely use a dictionary, right? So we could do I don't know, days, make that equal to a dictionary. Then we have M, and we could grab the value for M. Right, we have t. We could grab the value for t. What else do we have? We have w, where we could grab this value. And in this case, we want r. And then the last one that we want is s, right? Where we grab 900 by 150. Okay, so now we have days, we have everything in there, and what we could return is return days at char. If I were to comment this, and then I run this, we'll see that it comes out to true as well. Right? So once we start seeing this pattern of like kind of doing a switch, right? Because we're kind of zigzagging. It's like if this, if that, and we continue just using elif statements and the consistency stays as to what the conditions could be, then maybe switching data structures into a dictionary might be the answer for simplifying our algorithm. Awesome. Yeah, but this was great, Seki. Thank you so much. Math.seal, you want to explain to everyone what math.seal does?
It just returns the smallest integer of the denominator.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to what's your grade on this side. Let me fork it. Okay, can I go to the bar? That's all you, Andrew.
Okay, let's do if num is greater or equal to 21, return true, else false.
All right. So we run it, this returns all trues. Can we simplify this a little bit and maybe make it all in one line?
I'm sure there's a way. I'm not sure that I'm gonna be able to walk you through it.
We can
Yes.
try the shorthand that you talked about. So
True if num else false.
Yeah, we could definitely make our ternary statement, but even better, this is already giving us true or false. Right?
yeah,
So instead of doing the whole if and else, we could just return the comparison statement. That will then return to us true if it is greater than or equal to 21, or false if it doesn't meet the conditions. Awesome. Move on to the next one. And let's fork this. And while that forks over, let's move on into what's my grade. And I think this one's you, Akeem.
yeah. Want to do dictionary so we can turn the pass into GPA.
Okay.
So GPA. Okay, grades.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. You want me to turn that into GPA?
That's fine. That's fine.
No, too late now.
All right, so for semicolon alpha, no, num is number, right?
Yeah.
So that should be 4, then alpha.
Okay,
then 3, then Bravo, comma,
all right.
then 2, Charlie, comma, next line 1, semicolon, Delta, comma, 0.9.
So I don't think we want to do 0.9 because what if the grade 0.5? It would still come back as an
Okay,
F,
then
right?
that one we can use a logic to.
Yeah, so how do I do that?
Do you know that last comma, the last comma after D? I think I want to take that out.
Yeah, I don't need it.
All right, so we can have return age, then square brackets. No. So we can do an if statement if grade is greater than 1 that, and if it's not, then
Yeah, I think we could just ask if
if
num is,
grades.
we could just ask if num
Okay.
is not in GPA. All right. Perfect. That is awesome. All right, let's move on. Now we got FizzBuzz, and we're making some pretty good time. So let's keep trucking. Okay. Excuse me for a second, everyone. Let me close this door real quick. Okay, let's go. We are back. So Keen just went. Noel, this one's you.
This one, I think you could just do return degrees less than 4 or -4.
Return degrees less than -4. Perfect. Easy. All right, let's go into BlackJack, it looks like. I feel like the earlier problems were more complicated than the ones we're currently working on. All right. Now
It was real hard and the next real easy and it switches off.
yeah. Okay, so now we got FizzBuzz. And this one's for you, Seki.
I don't remember. Oh my god. I don't remember how I solved this.
Okay. Yeah. So let's do it as a group. What do you guys think? How do we go into solving this one?
You use a lot of percentage signs.
Yeah, we definitely need modulo. Oh, yeah.
So I guess we can just start an if statement
Okay.
or maybe a for loop, more or less.
Yeah, so we're gonna need a data structure, which will be of a dictionary. So let's start there. And then you said to do a for loop. So for num in range And we probably want to start at 1 till num plus 1. Okay. Now what?
If I, what's that? You know, that, yeah, that
Mhm.
15,
Modulo 15.
equals 0.
Is it 15 or is it 5? I can't remember.
Isn't it threes? Three, it's like odds or
Multiple instead key value. Yeah, so it's 5 and 3. Let's check at 5. Okay. And if, oh, you probably want to make sure that this is 0, right?
3.
Okay. Then what do I want to do here?
The value is FizzBuzz. Num
Okay, so I want answer. And what's going to be the key?
Is it gonna num?
Say again?
Num?
Yeah, let's give it the key of num. And what's the value going to be?
But fees. Buzz. Fees
Yes.
buzz.
So let's do FizzBuzz. Okay. So that handles one condition. What's the next one?
elif num modular 3.
No, modular. Well, should we check for 5 first, or should we check for 3 first?
Let's go with 5.
Okay. Is equal to 0. Then what?
Answer num equal buzz.
Answer num equals buzz. Awesome. And then our last elif.
Num modular 3 equals 0. Answer num and fizz.
Okay. What about everything else?
Answer
Otherwise,
num
assign keys. Okay.
num equals num, right?
Perfect. And let's just return.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So I know doing your for the iteration you have for num in range 1 num. So which one are we passing for the key value of the answer? Is it the num from the parameter or the num for the iteration?
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. Let's just call this one goal, and let's switch this to. There you go. Does that answer your question, Kim?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's run this and see what it looks like. Okay, so we get back true, and there was only one test case. Awesome. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more challenging ones, the little FizzBuzz. But honestly, this one's very common. I think I had maybe like 20 interviews where they asked me this question of the FizzBuzz. So I would definitely pay a little bit of attention to this one. All right, let's take a 5-minute break before we come back and move on to the next one. So I will see you all in 5 minutes. Okay, perfect. So let's go into detention. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay. Grade of 6 is the highest. greater than okay, let's see, so let's do for loop. I wonder, could we convert the string and then just check if in, like if 6 or higher is in?
You mean as in iterate through the string and check if it has 6 or higher?
Or could we just convert the string into another, like maybe like cast into a list or something, and then just put if 6 or if 6 in. No, let's just do it for loop. I'm trying. I'm probably complicating this more than it needs to be. We'll just do it for let's do for I in range boolean student ID, is it what, or whatever student ID, if IDX is greater or equal to 6. Wait, no, if IDX, yes, if student ID IDX is greater or equal to 6. Return true. And let me read this question. 6 greater, 6 the high funded. Okay, so let's do less than or equal to, you know, less than 6. Let's do less than or equal to 6. Is that what we have already?
I mean, now we have greater than or equal to 6. But I guess my
Let's-
question would be, what is it that we're checking, right? So let's take it one step at a time. So the first thing that I want to check is that 6 is even in the student ID, right?
Yes.
So how do I check that? Or how do I check if it's not in the student ID?
F6.
So we can do 6 not in.
Okay, so if 6 not in student ID,
student ID.
yeah, then I wanted to return false, right? Okay, so that takes care of our edge case where 6 isn't located inside of the student ID. So now that I know it is located inside of the student ID, the only other reason why I would return false is if any one of those was greater than 6, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's turn this into greater than, and let's turn this into false. Okay, but currently right now I'm doing a comparison of a string against an integer, right? Because this is just string.
Yes.
Okay. So what do I need to
So,
do?
can we make student ID into a list?
You want it into a list?
Or let's see. I'm sure there's a way to do this without. I don't know, I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. Let's see. So here, when I'm iterating through this, right? Not only do I want to check if it's greater than 6, but I also want to check if it's even alphanumeric. So let's see, how do we check? Do we check if a char is numeric in Python? Okay, so we got the is numeric method. So let's go here. So the first thing I want to check is if student ID IDX is numeric. And so if it is numeric, I can probably turn this into an integer, right?
Yes. So we would just do int there.
Return false. Okay. So if it makes it through all of this and it never returns false, then I could return
True.
true. Okay, so let's see what that does. Perfect. So now we get true. And let's say we removed 6 from here and then we ran it. Well, we would still get false because it would identify that 6 isn't in there. Okay, so now let's say we have 6, but we take off the 7. Well, now this entire statement should return false. Okay, and it does return false. Perfect. Now we bring back the 7. And everything's working correctly. Does anyone have any questions on this one?
Why are we checking each numeric in line 14?
Because if I try to turn a letter into an integer here, it will automatically fail, so it would crash my program. So I want to make sure that it is numeric. That way, if it is numeric, then it could go into my AND statement. And if it's not numeric, then it won't even touch my AND statement, and it'll just strictly go into false. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is it not possible to do the same thing with the AND statement with the int to convert that index, the student IDX into int?
So you mean this?
Yeah, the same thing we did that to the prior one. Student the is numeric. No, the is numeric. So why don't you just convert it to int? Convert that statement there, student underscore ID IDX into int.
Yeah, so I didn't do that because H won't allow it, right? H isn't something that I could turn into an integer. And in my if statement, it's not going to just be like, oh, well, this doesn't work, so we're just going to continue on with the program, move on to the next index. Instead, it's going to crash. So here, let me demonstrate it. Yeah, see, so it crashes, and it crashes because I'm trying to turn it into an integer, but it's a letter, it's G. All right, so because it recognizes G and I'm trying to turn it into an integer, well, it's telling me, hey, I can't do this. G isn't something that I could turn into an integer. So I have to check if it's numeric before going into my AND condition.
So we're only getting the numeric value from there.
Right. So the only thing that's actually running into this comparison is anything that is actually a number.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me see. Let's see if we could try to refactor this a little bit. So let's do a list of nums in stud ID. Okay. And let's say that I want num char for, oh, sorry, not num. I want integer. So integer char for char in student ID if char is numeric. So integer ID if char is numeric, and let's just print that statement. So list of nums of ID. Okay, so this is throwing an error, and it's saying char, and that's because I put cha instead of char. All right, so now it's able to recognize it properly, and it crashes. So we got a string object, and that's because I can't spell numeric. Okay, awesome. So now I got 1, 3, 6, and 7, 1, 3, or 1, 3, and 6, and 1, 3, 6, and 7. I think this is the direction that you were trying to head towards, right, Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah. So now that I have all these numbers, then I could definitely say, hey, let's say I want to print the max of LST of nums ID. And if I print that, we see that we get 6 and 7. So then I could, instead of doing all of that, I can now return if the max is greater than 6. Or actually less than or equal to 6. And now we see that both of them are true, because 7 is not less than or equal to 6, so it fails, and 6 is equal to 6, so it comes back true. Yep. Awesome. Yeah, does anyone have any questions over this? This Python shorthand comes really in handy now that I'm starting to mess around with it a little more. Okay, let's see, we got enough time for one last one. So let's finally get into BlackJack. And Akeem, you get the final one of the day. If you're there.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Give me number. Oh, this is just pretty much, we can do a dictionary, or we can do a conditional if statement. So can you hear me?
I can. I'm waiting for you to tell me what you want me to do.
Okay, so let's do an if statement.
Mhm.
So answer, okay, if the first one is less than 15.
Could we do it with the, oh yeah, we're gonna need to do it with if statements. Okay. So if
Yeah.
it's less than 15, so
Less
if
than
num
15,
is
sorry.
less than 15,
Then return it.
okay.
If num is between 5 and 21.
Okay, so greater than 15 and, well, greater than or equal to 15, right? And what's the end
Mhm.
statement?
And num less than or equals to 21.
Okay,
Inclusive. Then return stand.
okay.
Then can else, since it's gonna be greater than, can just do else. Then return burst.
All right, let's run this real quick. Perfect. Now we get all truths. So Keen brought up using a dictionary, so did I. But in this case, instead of using a dictionary, it's much easier to just do a conditional statement because we can ask this type of questions, right? Where I'm asking, hey, it needs to be greater than or equal to 15, and it also needs to be smaller than or equal to 21. Because if I were to use a dictionary, then I would have had to manually put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 21, and then have a default statement for bust. It would have been a lot more work than what we have here. So this is great. Awesome. And we only have 2 minutes, so I don't think that's enough time to go into another one,
Let's
especially with
do
my replit
shorthand
words.
for this.
Which one?
This one, let's do the shorthand for the if statement.
Oh, shorthand for the if statements. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we can. Let's see. Yeah, I wonder how we could do elif statements. So let's see. I wonder. Return 15 if return hit if num is less than 15, elif
If,
stand.
I was supposed to, okay. If
Or
stand.
do you think I should go next?
Yeah,
to
I was
that?
thinking stand, yeah, before, yeah.
But there needs to be some sort of separator. So I actually think it goes here. Elif num is greater than or equal to 15 and num is less than or equal to 21. And then my else, which would be a bust. Yeah, it doesn't like that at all. Expected else after if. Yeah, so it only takes. Huh, I wonder maybe I could do this number. Let's see. Let's see. One line. If, elif, else, Python. Okay, so apparently it's not possible. According to PEP8, it only takes.
If and else.
Yeah. Oh, but in my else statement, I can put another if and else. Okay, so, oh, that's not it. So if I have here, I can put and if what was it? Num is greater than or equal to 15, and num is less than or equal to 21, else bust. Oh, that works too. Yeah. So it looks like you just have to nest them a little bit. So we have our first if statement. So if it's less than 15, right, just like we have here, then return hit. Okay, else I want you to go into this if statement, where if num is greater than or equal to 15 and less than or equal to 21, return stand. If that's not met, then just return bust. Awesome. I don't recommend this at all, though. It's okay to do like one-liners between one if and else, but once you start nesting it like this, starts getting confusing, and readability always takes priority over short syntax. Do not write code that only you'll be able to understand, because that's no good for anyone that you'll end up helping, unless it's your own personal code. I don't recommend it, because it's happened to me before where I get all fancy with my stuff, and then 2 weeks later I try to come back to the same project that I'm working on and see why something isn't working correctly, and I get to a piece of code and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. So yeah, just try to stick to the keep it simple type of things. Awesome. And that's actually going to conclude our time, so I'm gonna stop the recording.